Hi, everybody. Welcome to episode 55 of Games My Mom Found. I am Mike Albertin, and who are the Draculas with me tonight?
Stefan, JD.
It's Stuart Hughes.
Us again.
Just
us again.
Just the three of us.
We can make it if we try, just the three of us. You and I.
something, you and I.
Yeah, due to scheduling conflicts, our guest wasn't able to make it, and my backup guest wasn't able to make it either.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's kind of interesting, though, because Stefan messaged in the podcast was like, it might be interesting not to have a guest this week. And we were like, yeah, it might.
I just
do
went along
that.
with it.
Yeah. Usually we always have a guest. And it was like, oh, yeah, we. It's weird because it does kind of feel like a break in a dumb way.
Yep. It feels good.
There are no breaks.
It's like a weird, like our version of a vacation on the podcast is just not having a guest on this week.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was just unfortunate with a scheduling conflict with him where I misunderstanding, and so it didn't work out. So that's why this is why we moved it a week and did Halo Reach sooner. Now we're doing you know what? I'm just gonna introduce the game we're talking about since I was about to say the name anyway. This was my pick because this has been on my backlog for years, literal many right over a decade. I've been meaning to play this game. We're going to be talking about Castlevania Aria of Sorrow for the Game Boy Advance that came out in 2003.
Yep.
Might need to say that again. Because it cut out for me.
Aria of Sorrow.
Yep. I actually,
Aria.
at work, like on Saturday nights because we record on Sunday, I play music and I blast metal music while I'm working because I'm there alone for 4 hours. And I was listening to Metallica's Justice for All the other day, and one of the songs is called Harvester of Sorrow. But I was just yelling, Aria of Sorrow. So bored.
I can't wait to, I'll save that for off the record. But
Yeah.
I want to say something. No, I have been wanting to play this game forever. I've started it before. I've never gotten very far, so that's why I put it on the show because I'm like, this will make me actually play through the game. So, and that's why it's on here. Because Stu, have you played any other Castlevania games before?
This is the first Castlevania game I've ever played.
Oh,
So weird.
Yeah.
You started at the end of the series then.
Yeah. It's actually kind of my first introduction to Castlevania entirely. I think the only other Castlevania thing I've ever experienced is the Netflix series, which I love. But
It's good.
after watching it, I was like, oh, I should probably play some of these games at some point. And it's just they've never really crept up in, like, whenever I think, oh, hey, I need a new game to play, I never think Castlevania.
Well, I plan to change that depending on how this does. So,
All right.
because I really want to play more of the. Okay.
Well, yeah, I played it and I was like, oh yeah, the Belmonts and everything, like they're all over Castlevania, right? Like, then I didn't realize that all the different games have like completely different Belmonts, and sometimes Belmonts aren't important, sometimes they are.
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
this is like post Dracula, so he doesn't even matter anymore.
Dracula's foil.
Sort of. Oh, there will be spoilers for this game in particular, and some Castlevania stuff. So you've been warned.
Yeah.
One of those words.
And like so Mike mentioned, this game is the last in the series on the timeline. Well, yeah, but it's like it takes place in 2035, yet everyone dresses like it's the Dark Ages.
Yeah. Well, I love that's my favorite thing is like the main character, Soma Cruz, shows up and he's like, it's the most anime character ever. Where it's like, oh, I'm just a normal 18-year-old traveling to Japan to study history, but he's wearing like a full Renaissance era like overcoat and fur, and he's got white hair.
Oh man,
I really like Soma.
It's like that picture of like I think it's from like Digimon maybe, where it's like, can you guess which of these characters is the anime protagonist? It's like 50 normal people and one guy with an eye patch and pink hair.
Oh, so Soma Cruz, that's Spanish, right? Is what I'm guessing.
I
don't
believe
know.
so. Well, Cruz is definitely Spanish. Soma means shadow, I think.
Okay.
I think Soma means shadow, and Cruz means to drive in a car at the same speed.
Oh, also, I don't want to talk about it yet, but so you didn't know the big twist of this game, then, did you?
No.
Okay, I was interested because I've been spoiled on it because I have watched entire YouTube videos about the entire timeline of Castlevania multiple times because I fucking love the series.
Well,
Yeah,
I
I
paused
think-
this. Soma means the corporeal body, the psyche or soul, which makes more sense than shadow.
No, he's wearing a white jacket, like jeans and a black shirt. It looks like in here, and a better picture of him from Dawn of Sorrow.
Mhm.
Yes.
So he's not wearing really medieval, but I guess he kind of has like a fur coat on in the first game or something on.
Yeah, he's got this big like white coat with like fur lining on it on the neck. He looks like a Final Fantasy character.
Every other character is dressing like the Dark Ages. Like there's a dude that sells to you that looks like a barder. He looks like a bard or something.
You talking about Hammer?
Yeah.
Because he looks like a military guy wearing a military jacket.
I don't know.
I like that, like your friend / girlfriend. It's 2035, but because it's like Japan, you need the classic like old kimono-esque look or like Hakumo look. So she's wearing her shrine getup because she was at the shrine when they got transported.
She's a priestess.
It just doesn't make any sense. Yeah, she's a priest. She's a modern or futuristic priestess.
Okay, I'm going to give a quick, like, my 3-minute version of Castlevania history up to this game. So, for those that have seen the anime, you have Dracula killed people many times over the years, and every time a Belmont will come out, or usually a Belmont, somebody will come and fight Dracula. And then this game takes place after the Great Battle of 1999, which Dracula was defeated by the last Belmont in a huge battle that the whole world is involved, which they never made a game of yet.
Right.
It's hosting someday. It's called the Demon
really?
War.
That was never a game?
Yeah, never a game.
So like the 1999 shit, that's not a game?
Nope. It's nothing but a little paragraph in this game.
I just assumed that was a game I hadn't played. Yeah, they talk about that shit all the time. Like half this game is referencing this event.
Yeah, it never came out yet.
Yeah. His name was Julius Belmont.
Damn. I was playing this entire game like, oh man, I can't wait to play that one. That one sounds cool.
I can't wait to play it either. So it's supposed to be where the whole world was involved and the militaries were fighting Dracula, and there's a gigantic war, but yeah, there's no game or anything for it yet. And then they beat him in 1999. They seal away the castle, and then this game takes place 36 years later in 2035 with an 18-year-old Soma Cruz who goes to a shrine during the eclipse to see the eclipse and then wakes up in a weird castle.
Yeah. Because doesn't Dracula's castle like teleport or something? Isn't that one of the capabilities of it? Yeah.
Because the castle is part of his power.
Of the Netflix series. It exists in like a different dimension. Yeah, so it transcends space and time, but apparently also exists in the sun.
Yeah. The moon or something. And the Netflix series is canon to this series. It's just a retelling of parts of Castlevania 3 and Castlevania Curse of Darkness, which came out in PS2. So if you had watched the Castlevania series, you do have what is the story, just a little bit more to it.
Mm-hmm.
But it technically is all canon. I mean, it fits in the same world.
And according to this game, solar eclipses in Japan are apparently like signs of like the end times, which I don't think is true at all.
Mm-hmm.
It could be.
They go on a whole thing about like the god Susanoo, and he would come out and like go into a rage during the eclipse. And I was trying to look it up, and I was like, I don't think this is real folklore. I think they just made all this up for the game.
I googled it and not get anywhere. So
I just saw that Amaterasu, who is like the sun goddess, would hide in a cave during an eclipse and would only come out if she saw herself, like if somebody would show her reflection in like a mirror or something. And I was like, that doesn't sound anything like the game where it was like, Susanoo will destroy the world because he's an angry god.
Okay.
And my only knowledge of Susanoo is from Naruto, so I don't know how accurate that is.
That's probably not that accurate.
Yeah.
But I think it is cool that you never had played one before, that you start at the end of the series.
Oh, yeah. Well, like I always wanted to play it because I was always aware that it existed. And I never made the effort to check it out. And like I said, I fucking love the Netflix series because it's just like everybody's an asshole to everybody all the time.
Yeah.
Like the writing is so funny. There's like a great line in it where Trevor Belmont's like, God shits in my dinner once again. It's just like, yeah, that's exactly the kind of humor I like.
Yeah, Mark Miller.
Yep. Comic
Pretty
book
much.
writer.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He likes to write comic books that he can turn into movies and TV shows immediately.
I was very happy with it. So I was very happy to jump into this world. And I knew what Castlevania was. Like, I knew it was that. I mean, because we talked about it with when we played Metroid a long time ago. Like, I was always aware of Metroidvania. Well, yes, because we talked about Metroidvania games in general a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Not that you can hear it in that episode because the audio is trash. But I was like, after we played Metroid, I was like, I should really jump into more Metroidvania style games. And so far, the only ones I've really played are Metroid and Castlevania. And I think a couple others we've done on the show.
We'll do more. I'm a big fan of Metroidvania series.
I'm starting to like them.
So we should say this game, as we already mentioned, this game is Metroidvania, which for those that are, it's a game where you run around a bunch of blue squares in a map in different rooms and level up. At least in this game, it has RPG elements, which I freaking love in this game.
I like that you can like buy the maps and get like a better. You can like buy the maps and like more fully expand where the areas.
Yeah, they still don't show everything. They still hide a lot, but it gives you at least a good idea of what you're doing.
Yeah, there were definitely a few hidden rooms that I was like, you tricked me, game.
I missed one of the best swords in this game because I was stupid and didn't realize you could go through a waterfall. So
you can always go through a waterfall.
It's a waterfall.
Yeah, you have to do a special thing.
Does anybody else get angry when you're playing a game and there's a big waterfall and there's nothing on the other side of it?
No.
Yes.
I'm just like, every time I'm like, yeah, this is like, we've agreed on this video game. This is supposed to be a hidden area, even if you don't put anything back there. Just like you're supposed to have a hallway or something. Or
it feels like an Onion article. Like gamer gets angry because there's nothing behind video game waterfall.
That does sound like it. Onion. Yeah, it does sound.
Video game lied. If I made a game, I would make a waterfall, and then the secret behind the waterfall would just be a big room, and at the very far end of it, it would just be a picture of the waterfall, like a painting on the wall.
Oh man gets angry at game because not Castlevania game is not Metroid enough.
No, you don't follow the rules. There are rules.
Okay, so to give a little more about this game, as I kind of mentioned, so it has RPG elements. A lot of what this game is platforming, running around, killing monsters, trying to collect. You collect items called souls that give you different abilities, which is part of the whole story of this game.
Mm-hmm.
And it's considered probably one of the best Game Boy Advance games. And I can't believe I missed it all these years. And now I can finally say I beat it.
Yeah.
I'm so happy about it.
Well, speaking of the monsters, apparently some of the zombie soldiers wandering around are left over from when they last had the battle with Dracula in 1999.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so some of the monsters do have a purpose. Yeah.
Huh. I did not know that.
Yes. The other character, like, were any of the other characters in any of the other games?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I saw Soma was in some, but I didn't know if, like, Mina or...
Soma's not, technically.
Soma's not, technically?
So, well, we'll get to that later, but Soma Cruz is only in this game and then Dawn of Sorrow.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
The only other character that wasn't in any other games, you meet a guy early on named Genya Arikado, the guy in the suit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. His real name is Alucard.
Yep.
Oh, that's actually Alucard.
Yeah, Dracula's son.
Okay. I didn't know if that was Alucard or if he just looked like him. Because his name is his name sounded like the Romanji version of Alucard, Arikado.
He's supposed to be like after other Castlevania things happen, like Symphony of the Night, he kind of goes in the background for a while, and he's the one that was helping train different Belmonts to kill Dracula every time he would rise up, and has kind of been the background of the whole storyline.
Like, what a shitty childhood to just have to train people to kill your dad every millennium.
Yeah. It's not a millennium, every generation.
Well, it jumps. I think the first one takes place in the 1400s.
Lament of Innocence?
Castlevania?
Lament of Innocence is the first one.
Oh, okay. Well, Castlevania takes place in the 1400s.
Okay, that's the second or third one. That's the third one in chronological order.
Okay.
It's my other favorite thing about the Netflix series is just like the entire time Alucard is trying to kill his dad. You just kind of forget that it's his dad for a while because they just talk about him like he's the biggest asshole on the planet. Just like, we're gonna kill Dracula. Why? Because fuck you. That's why.
And the anime series is actually based on the third game, which is a Nintendo game.
Okay, which game is that?
Castlevania 3: Dracula's Curse.
Okay.
I'm probably confusing people right now with this storyline.
I know. I was trying to look up I was trying to look up the characters and everything, and I just gave up. It's just like, fuck it, I don't care. I can't.
Who was the producer or director on Symphony of the Night? Because he's the one who went on to make like Circle of the Moon or whatever, or that other. Isn't
it Koji Igarashi?
Yeah, he even said he's like the biggest mistake Konami made was giving Castlevania a timeline. He's like, it makes no sense.
Yeah,
I disagree.
I could see that just because the games take place over such a wide area.
Mm-hmm.
Like you don't need to. It's like the Star Wars problem where it's like you don't need to connect every single thing. Like this is we're taking place in like a universe. Not every character needs to know every other character.
Right.
They do in Castlevania, or close to it.
Apparently.
So the last time before the 1999 that never happened, never came out in a game. Well, I want to say is Portrait of Ruin, which takes place during World War II. So it'd been a while since Dracula had been around.
Okay.
And then this takes place in 2035, where Soma Cruz wakes up. But I mean, this game just kind of blew me away because one, I get lost a lot in Metroidvania games, but I love the fact that when I get lost and I kill everything, I'm getting something back for my troubles.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one thing that made me so happy about this game. I'm running around and I'm killing things and lost and confused. I'm getting experience points. I'm leveling up. So I end up being way leveled up more than I need to be because I get lost a lot.
Yeah, that was one of the aspects of the game I actually didn't like. I really didn't like how you had to sit there and grind a little bit to level up.
I never had to.
I did.
I didn't feel like I had to, but that's just how I play games. So if I sit down with like while playing this, I played this very early in the week, and then I jumped into Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and that game is just that game's gonna take me fucking months to beat. I can already tell.
That's a huge game.
It's a massive game, and I have to do everything because I'm insane. I'm a stupid person. So I'm like doing all these fucking side quests. And I'm like, I don't need to be doing this, but my back of my brain is like, oh, you better do it because if you beat it's because I played Fallout where my brain goes, sometimes when you beat a game, the game just ends and you can't do the side quests that you want to do. So you have to do them all now.
That's true.
So Fallout's a bad game. That's all.
In this game, I was like, I'm going to explore everywhere because I don't trust games to let me explore after something. Like I'm going to get cut off.
I do gotta say though, like just exploring the castle of this game, like I love all the different areas and how they all kind of connect, and they're just very strange. Like I felt they did a good job of like trying to return areas from the castle that you might know from other games. Like there's the clock tower at one point you're running around on with the gears, and they did a really impressive job. I thought of that.
It's kind of like the Spencer Mansion in a way because it's like every area is specific to itself. So you know, like, oh, here's the, I don't know, dog hallway area.
Well, you have the arena, the dance hall. I mean, you have things that are in other Castlevania games like Symphony of the Night, which one thing I do like, I don't know if you caught this reference, I know Stu didn't, but when you go in the save rooms, in the background, you can see a coffin laying down. It's Alucard's coffin from Symphony of the Night.
Right.
I love that. That makes me smile, which probably means nothing to Stu. So... Symphony of the Night is like the best Castlevania game for PlayStation 1 that we will be doing on the show at some point, for sure.
I would say it's on par with Rondo of Blood, honestly.
I never played Rondo of Blood, so.
It's hard.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hello? Can you hear
Did we
me?
lose you?
Okay, shit. My internet just like cut out for a quick second, so I missed all that.
That's no wonder you weren't responding when I was like, so what do you think, Stu?
Yeah, it's just like... I was like, weird, I keep losing Mike, and I look down at my actually on and off, so it's fixed now. I was on the wrong network. I'm good.
You gotta love internet.
Yeah, I like that. I like how everything is connected, though. I like the castle in general. I thought was really cool because it's like explained within the universe as taking like the whole castle itself is kind of outside of time, outside of space, and so you can play around with the physics of it, and nothing has to really make sense, but everything still kind of makes sense. It works really well.
Yeah.
The castle is also part of his power. Like, this is why he keeps being revived. He keeps coming back. Has a lot to do with this castle. And chaos, as you find out in this game.
Which really doesn't make any sense considering that castle has been demolished like over 10 times in Castlevania lore.
Yeah, I like how they explain it where in the game that doesn't exist that I was really hoping to play. They were like, yeah, back in 1999, they just gave up on destroying the castle, so they just sealed it. It's like, well, based on my knowledge of everything, I know that never works in any media. We're just going to seal this. Like, anytime the end of a series is, oh, it's okay, we've sealed the monster away, it's just a like writing excuse to be like, it's okay because that enemy can come back at any time.
Yeah, it's like with Ganon in the Temple of Time.
Yeah, fucking like Naruto pulls that shit constantly where they're like, oh, we've sealed Orochimaru away, and it's like, okay, but isn't he known for breaking seals? Isn't that like his main thing? It's like, yeah, but he can't get out of this one. It's really strong.
It's really strong.
he would need to be like really tough to figure this one out. It's like, well, that's his whole thing.
Anime, right?
It's a very anime thing. We're gonna seal this enemy away so that way at any point we can bring the enemy back and
Like
get the story beat.
Not this game as much, but the second one is very, very anime.
I would say this was very anime.
You
wear a white trench coat and everybody is either dressed in medieval garb or suits.
Yeah.
Like Alucard shows up or Genya Arikado shows up in a black suit, and I'm like, well, this guy is a good guy because based on my knowledge of anime, if you're wearing a black suit, if you have black hair and you're wearing a black suit, you're a good guy. If you have white hair and you the other dude, then you're dead.
Oh no.
Like the only time that logic flips, that trope like doesn't make sense is if it's a story about like the Yakuza, and then the guy with the white hair and the white suit is the good guy because he's the cool guy, but only if he's wearing sunglasses. There's specific rules everything has to follow.
One thing that is very traditional in any Castlevania game or a lot of games of this time is how when they reuse sprites a lot. Like they'll take an enemy, color him differently, give him more health and a different ability, and be like, oh, new enemy.
Yeah.
Like they do it a lot in this game. Like I'm scrolling through the enemy list right now, looking at different demons. I'm like, yep, same sprite. Like, I didn't mind that though. Like I also really love the different enemies in this game. I love how many variety there is.
Yeah. Even when there's like a different, like I don't really mind different colorations in enemies as long as there's still like a lot of them. Like, because I mean, I fucking love Legend of Zelda, so I kind of have to get over that. But I felt like there was a really sizable variety of all the enemies in this game that just get thrown at you.
There are.
And I was somewhat disappointed when I learned that the Medusa heads aren't in this game. So I was I hear these things are shit. But there's like a version of them.
Yeah, they're in the clock tower.
Yeah.
Oh, they are actual Medusa heads, or are they just okay.
Just Medusa herself isn't in here, and she's a boss in a lot of the regular Castlevania games.
Well, then is that the one everyone fucking hates? Medusa?
Yeah. That Medusa head people hate, just because they'll hit you and knock you off, and Castlevania is known for a lot of knockback, so you fall to your death.
Well, there's also a couple Medusa heads that'll turn you to stone, too, so...
Yeah.
I was just like, I know everyone fucking hates these things. I can't wait to fight them.
What is the rating of this game, actually? I didn't check that out, because even though it's sprites, there's a lot of topless babes in this game.
It's teen.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I like the succubus. Yeah. It's teen.
That's always funny to me.
Succubus and Lilith.
If it's like an anime demon, you can kind of get away with it. Like Japan has kind of figured that shit out.
As long as you don't put nipples on it, it's good.
Yeah. I mean, even if you put nipples on it, I've mentioned a couple times on the show the fucking Dragon Age Origins Broodmother, which is just like a giant tentacle monster with giant boobs. And it's just like, how the fuck did that get past the ratings?
Such a good game.
I played Code Vein recently, which is a super ridiculous anime game in a style of like Bloodborne, and all the enemies are like, okay, yeah, this is like a random demon monster, but it's just a naked woman with the head of a wolf, and I'm like this game isn't E. Don't lie to me. It's anime logic of like, it's okay because like I'm actually a 700-year-old robot, and it's like, no. We all see through it.
Boobies, rated E for everyone.
Yeah. But it's sprite, so it's fine.
What he's talking about, I actually really like the succubus in this game because there's a certain part in the game you'll see like a girl that looks like, well, supposed to be probably your friend, Mina, or whatever the hell her name is, or she'll look like she's wearing a kimono, and she's sitting there like, help me! And you go over to her, and then she turns into a succubus demon and comes after you, and I killed so many of them for the soul you need.
Oh, yeah. There's also an enemy called Persephones. I kept looking at them like, nope, that name's wrong. These are karate maids. They are not. That's all they are.
And if you don't kill her right away, she'll bow to you. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. And then she started attacking me. I'm like, that's not cool anymore.
She literally does drop kicks on you and tries to karate chop you. They're karate maids.
I was very confused by that because, she shows up. The Persephones show up, and it's like, I was like, oh, what is this? Is this an enemy or a character? And they just start attacking you. It's like, okay, you tricked me. You got me.
Hiya.
I thought you were just a random woman, but
that's what they were going for. Like that's the idea is that you'll be caught off guard.
I like the idea of Dracula's castle being like the TARDIS from Doctor Who, where there's just an infinite number of rooms in it that contain like an infinite number of existences. And so somewhere in Dracula's castle, there's just like a maid cafe, and all the maids got out and turned into demons.
Where did that come from?
Just thinking about Japan.
Okay.
and how weird they are.
It's a weird place sometimes.
We actually have a maid cafe that's open in Virginia Beach at certain times of the year because it's part of a convention, which I've never got. My friend like runs it, and I've never gone, and I always want to go, but I don't want to be like, do you want to go to a maid cafe with me?
Yeah, that doesn't sound weird at all.
Look like the fucking nerd character from every anime ever with like the glasses and the bloody nose. Let's go to the maid cafe. Looking like fucking Weevil from Yu-Gi-Oh.
I've been watching way too much of that show.
Yu-Gi-Oh?
Oh yeah, I watch it while I edit.
Oh really?
Because I don't actually care, so it works out great as a background.
I think I'm about to start watching all of Digimon, and I think it might be a mistake.
It is a mistake.
Not all of Digimon, but just like I'm about to like look up a list to see which she is, because it's not like there's a bunch of episodes, but it's got like seasons of 50 episodes that people keep telling me I need to watch.
Yeah, there's a lot of Digimon. Okay, so speaking of, like, one thing that I also do enjoy is, like, I love every time in this game when you get to a new boss, because they have a very good way of locking off the bosses with, like, blue doors to let you know, yeah, you might want to save before you go in this door.
Yeah.
And they did a good job with that. Like, I felt that everything was very well controlled, how it went from one thing to the next with that.
There's actually a pretty good fake out in this game too, because usually in Castlevania you have like specific enemies you're always going to fight, like the mummy or like Frankenstein. And in this one there was a bat, which you do fight in all the other Castlevania games, except for when it comes out, this huge hand comes out and smushes it, and then you're fighting a giant like in the room. It's like yeah.
That was cool. I was actually really impressed by that fight. I was just like,
that's Valor.
Valor?
Valor is his name.
Oh, that's weird.
Lenore?
Valor. Valore.
Like from King of the Hill? Valor!
That's my niece's name, Baylor.
Valor was, that was an interesting fight, because it's just like, that actually like legitimately kind of like shocked me. Because I was like, oh, I thought the bat was gonna be a psych out. I thought I was gonna go in there and there was gonna be like a shitload of bats, or they'd all like fly together and form some like sexy anime demon. Because that's what I was used to up until this point. And then the hands come out. And I was like, oh, we're doing like a whole Metroid thing. We're fighting an enemy in the background.
Oh yeah, and it actually shows off the graphics of the Game Boy Advance. Like, wow, this looks damn good.
Yeah, they did a good job with that.
Yeah, I had a question about that. Was the entire point of putting Soma Cruz in a trench coat just to show off like their coat physics?
I think it was, because I went back and looked at the other two games, and they look super stiff. So I mean, it's possible.
It's a
but then
couple
again,
reasons. This was also the first Castlevania Circle of the Moon comes out. It's very hard to see because of the way that the Game Boy Advance is at the time. Mm-hmm. And in the next game, Harmony of Dissonance, if you ever play that, your character glows blue to help you see, and everything glows to help make it much better. Where in this game, they toned it down, but it has a lot to do with the art, why some things are kind of brighter than they need to be, was to help so you could see better on the Game Boy Advance while you're playing on the bus or something.
I mean, obviously they should have just made them purple. That worked out in Batman and Friday the 13th. So
obviously, or like bright teal. Actually, I thought that was really cool. Like, this game had a great art direction with Soma, and you don't really play as Mina, but she's just kind of like, I would say she's there with you, but she's not. She passes out and is like unconscious for the rest of the fucking game.
I mean, that's to make sure that she doesn't realize your secret. So
yeah, but I like that Soma is, like white hair, white coat, so he's just this big white splotch in the middle of the screen, and everything else is kind of like, I'm not pastel, but everything else is kind of like this like beige color or this dim color, so that you really stand out. And at the end of the game, like the last section is you're fighting against this like white marble, and it kind of raises the difficulty because it gets slightly harder to see.
Mm-hmm.
It's an interesting way of doing that.
Yeah, there's technically 3D backgrounds in this too, which look really nice. Yeah, like the clock tower in the background. That was 3D. Yeah.
Some of the backgrounds in this game are straight up beautiful.
Yeah,
You're on top of the castle and you see like the moon in the background. I was like, oh wow, that is impressive.
It's a really good looking game.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the other bosses that I kind of want to reference or talk about besides Valor is like another boss is in every Castlevania game that they always find a damn way to bring them in. It's called Legion. It's I love the lead up to Legion. This is probably my favorite lead up because as you're going down this long hallway, you see these bodies keep coming out of the wall, and I try to hit them, realize they're not actually enemies yet, and they just keep walking and they just keep walking. It didn't take long. I'm like, I know where this is going, and you finally get in this big room. And you see a big ball, and all of a sudden the bodies get sucked up, and you just fight a giant ball made out of bodies.
Oh yeah, naked bodies.
Yeah, this is probably one of my favorite Legion fights because this whole fight, he's following you in a clockwise circle or in this big square, and you have to like hit him and run, and keep dancing around this giant square. It was really cool to me. Like I fought Legion many times. This is probably my favorite fight against Legion so far.
I like the one in Symphony of the Night better, but this one was pretty good for Game Boy Advance.
Yeah. Of all of my Legion fights, this was my favorite. I like how that was like a cool fight, and it's kind of weird to say this because it was a giant ball of bodies, of like naked bodies all strewn together.
Yeah,
but
Castlevania.
It didn't feel like over the top in a weird. Like I would have expected that in any other game. Any other game to have like, oh yeah, one of the big bosses is like a ball of bodies. I would expect that game to be kind of like edgy or like trying too hard, but it just kind of made sense for this game. I don't know why.
Like Dark Souls.
Yeah, like Dark Souls. Yeah. Or like Code Vein, which is trying really, really hard to be edgy. It's just like, oh yeah, you're fighting a giant. It's all the bodies. It's covered in maggots. It's like you're trying too hard. You're trying way too hard to like be dark and like that anime like Renaissance era Gothic style. This enemy is like covered in blood, and it's like, yeah, we get it. But this game was just, I don't know, something about the bodies like made sense with like the whole Dracula lore and the fact that like everything in this castle is kind of like a demon, but everything seemed to fit really well within the story in the castle. Aside from the maid ninjas, which just out of place.
Yeah, karate maids.
They're meant to be out of place, I feel.
Karate maid ninjas. That sounds like an awesome anime. Karate maid ninjas.
We're like doing it now. Copyright it.
Just in the style of Sailor Moon. No, by day they all work at the maid cafe. By night they have to solve crime. It's like it'll be a gritty deconstruction of the magical girl genre.
Massive vampire.
Another thing about this game that I love about any Metrovania that does this for me is where a lot of this game is like when you're running around, besides getting experience, you're collecting money, you get to go back and buy potions. And I love when a game lets me go buy potions like this because like any game, I will start to tank the bosses when I can. I'm like, I'll just hit you, you hit me. I don't want to dodge. I don't want to try hard. I just want to kill you. And I do that a lot in this game. In a couple fights. It's just how I am. Like I'm not. I play everything on easy difficulties. I'm just that kind of gamer.
No, I actually agree with you, Mike. That's probably why I was level grinding because that's basically what I did.
I mean, I had to do it. Well, Death I couldn't do it. Death I use save states, but because Death is a fucking bitch in this game. Like this was a really hard Death fight too.
There's a really easy way to beat him. You just have to slide. That's all you have to do. Yeah.
I didn't slide.
Yep.
Maybe one day we'll talk before we record an episode about a game, huh?
Mike's also the only person I know who's like, my favorite part of games is buying potions. I really like going back. I really like going back and talking to the merchants.
I like that the game let me do that, I should say.
Oh my god, the only time I can think of that I like a merchant is Resident Evil 4.
What are you buying?
What are you selling? Yep.
Hello there, stranger.
I'll buy it at a high price.
How has that not been on the show yet?
Just because it's long.
I can beat it in a day, but hey.
We've talked about this multiple times, is how Stefan and I, every single time we pick games, we don't talk about it beforehand. We just kind of like pick what we like, which works. It has worked really well up to this point, but it's funny because I always think, and I know Stefan always thinks, that the other one is going to put a Resident Evil game on there.
Every single time. I'm like, I wonder what Resident Evil game Steve is going to put on.
So I don't want to be like,
the series.
I don't want to be like, let's do Resident Evil 3. Because I'm like, oh no, Stefan will say that. I'll say something stupid like Outbreak.
I like how we don't bitch about each other's picks either. Well, I did once for Mike's when he picked what was it, Yoshi's Island. I fucking hated that game, but
that wasn't my pick, but yes.
Okay.
I've also had like I think out of all of three of us, I've had like the most games get kind of does not work in the long run. Like it just didn't work for the episode, or like we couldn't get it to run, or it was just too weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Every time I pick a game, we pick games, I'm like, I'm gonna try to pick something really weird and out there.
Yeah.
I've noticed that.
Yeah, just
I'm
something that doesn't.
okay with it. I noticed it. All right, so as I was saying about the death fight, like that whole fight.
I'm not gonna stop until we play Last Express, Mike.
That whole fight has like two scenes to it, also, which is what I like. Like well, I shouldn't say I like. I hated it, but it was cool. Like the first you fight just the scythe, you just sit in the back like I don't care. You just fight the damn scythe, and after you do enough damage to the scythe, he comes and joins you, and then the scythe becomes like a double scythe. And it looked awesome as he killed me. Because I died the first time. Then I'm like, yeah, we're gonna fix that.
Yep.
But I mean, Death is one of those bosses that comes back in every Castlevania game. He's always there. He's just part of. He's very big in the lore of what's going on when it comes to Dracula.
Well, this fight wasn't too bad because in Lament of Innocence, I think it is, you have to fight Death and then immediately afterwards fight Dracula's 3 forms. So it's like 4 fights in one.
Yeah, it would be shitty.
This one wasn't that bad.
But there's potions in that game too.
Yeah, you can only carry 20 though.
And in the long run, isn't like Death always the final boss, really? Just in life.
Yes.
Everyone
like, what if that happened? Like, that was what happened when you died, really, is you died and then the Grim Reaper showed up and it was like Mortal Kombat style. Like, fight! It's like, oh shit, I died holding a banana and he's got a scythe. Fuck, I don't have anything.
Oh,
you always have to make sure you die with like a pair of nunchucks or something in your back pocket.
But that would be illegal if you were in England. You couldn't have them.
And some parts of America. Actually, think I was looking that up after we did TMNT, and I think it was like New York recently had nunchucks, like a nunchuck rule in the law that was like being overturned. And I was like, oh, that's weird timing. Because of us. New York want to start carrying around nunchucks again.
It was all because of us, guys.
We started a movement to bring nunchucks back into. What was that fucking AMC? There was an AMC show that was like, what if guns didn't exist? And it was just people fighting like street fights with swords and nunchucks and shit. You know what I'm talking about?
No.
The whole point of the show was really stupid because it was like the whole conceit of the show was like, if guns didn't exist, we would just fight each other with like bats and shit. It's like, yeah, but we kind of do that already.
Yeah, there's been some weird like explicit stuff that other countries haven't put on. Like Evil Dead wasn't allowed in England, I think, for the longest time, or Britain or something. And it's like
when we talked about in England, Ninja Turtles was Hero Turtles because ninja apparently was a word they didn't like. It was too violent.
Yep, got rid of nunchucks.
What fucking show was that? I'll find it. There was a show where it was really dumb and it was really bad, and like I think it only lasted like a couple episodes and they canceled it. So it was just like people fighting with like weird swords and shit, and it just didn't make any sense.
All right. So speaking of one thing about this game too, which I thought was very cool. I mean, it's very small, but they find a good way to work it in. There are a couple other characters that are running around the castle with you, besides Alucard, which you'd never see or know he's Alucard. You also have Yoko. We're gonna go with Yoko, who is his assistant, who I think is supposed to be related to Trevor Belmont somewhere way down the road, type of thing, and Saifa Benatas, whatever her name is.
Yeah, I looked it up. She's related to Saifa.
Okay.
Yeah, and she's also married to John Lennon.
Yes.
That was funny. I don't like you sometimes, but that was funny. Okay, but and I like how they did that story. And then you also have this other guy that you meet early on named Graham, who you end up thinking is going to be Dracula because he's talking about how the castle is summoning him and he has the power. He tries to kill Yoko in one scene where you happen to walk in. You don't rush in, you just happen to walk in and go, "Oh, what's going on?" And then you save her by doing nothing.
It's the goofiest scene ever.
It's a goofy game.
I have to apologize. The show was called Into the Badlands, and it got 3 seasons. It took place 500 years after a war that left civilization in ruins. Many elements of technology, such as electricity and ground vehicles, have survived, but society now shuns guns. And so everyone would fight with like crossbows and swords, and it was supposed to be like a martial arts heavy show.
So it's basically like The Walking Dead.
It's just like super weird.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Just had to bring that up. Just had to look that up, and otherwise I would be thinking about it all night.
That would be terrible.
Yeah, just in the middle of the night. Just...
Well, there's no guns in Castlevania.
There is
Nick
in this
Frost,
game.
Nick Frost was in it, not Castlevania. He was in Into the Badlands. How great would it be if Nick Frost was in Castlevania?
Oh my god.
He's fantastic. He plays Alucard in the next game. Yeah, what was Yoko was a weird character though. I didn't get her thing. Like she shows up.
She's a witch.
She's a witch, but she's also like completely useless. Like she shows up and she's like kind of helpful, and then she just gets like stabbed, and then she's unconscious for the rest of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And like you just leave her with Mina, and you're like, hey, weird shit's going on in this castle. Here's this unconscious chick who's bleeding out. Take care of this.
I actually started laughing when after she gets stabbed and falls to the floor, Soma goes over there. He's like, hey, are you all right?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, he says something really stupid. He's like, hey, you're right. He's like, oh, geez, this isn't good. And it's like, come on, dude. It's like a line straight out of like an IFC show. Like demons are flying around. Oh, geez, this isn't good.
I got a bad feeling about this.
Oh, gee willikers, we're going to die. Things are looking pretty grim.
I like Graham, though. Like, I like his whole story in this game, how he thinks he's Dracula. Like that. I mean, I already knew the twist to this game long before, but I am interested to hear from someone who didn't know the twist. What do you think? Like, what did you think when Graham was like, I'm going to be Dracula? Or did you have any thought?
I kind of saw it coming because, again, he's a guy with white hair and a white suit in an anime game. So I was like, oh, this guy's crazy. Like, this guy he just looks crazy. Like, he shows up and I'm like, this guy's insane. he's like giving you advice, and I'm like, in any game whatsoever, any game or any like anime, the first character that's clearly not a party member that shows up and is like, here's how you should like fight this boss. I'm like, you're gonna be evil. You're definitely gonna be evil. I'm calling it right now. I'm gonna have to kill you at some point. So I was like, something's going on with him for sure. And then he was like, oh, I'm Dracula. I was like, oh yeah, he's insane.
You're not
kind
wrong.
of saw the twist coming, but I was like, it was a nice little character for somebody to be like this game is very clear that Dracula is dead, which at first I thought was like, oh, it's just like they're burying the lead. They're gonna be like, oh yeah, Dracula's dead, but he comes back later because like you unearthed Dracula. At first I thought that's what they were going for, but then they just kept saying it in such a serious manner. They're like, no, Dracula is dead. Dracula is gone. It's like, okay, well, what's going on?
He's kind of dead.
Yeah, he's dead and he's not dead, and he's sealed. He's sealed away so that he can come back later in 2045 when they fight some other weird enemy demon thing. That's what it'll be. Dracula will discover technology that lets him break the seal.
Now we need to have a random seal fact at the end of the show.
Yeah, but like the seal we're talking about.
Yeah.
Fun fact about Tupperware. That's what it'll be. It'll be a seal fact about Tupperware.
All right. I'm trying to think. There's some of the other bosses in this game that we haven't mentioned yet are just kind of retreads. But one thing that I think was also really cool how they did in this game is throughout the game, you run into a guy named Jay. Doesn't have any memory of who he is, who just was drawn to this castle. I mean, I knew exactly who he is because I already knew this game. But I love how they find a way to put a Belmont in, but you're not playing as a Belmont. Belmont. He's just there.
Stop him, Belmont.
And I remember at one point he's like, I'm trying to find my whip. Because the whip is also what he used to seal away with the castle.
Yeah, see, that's it. Like, despite not playing any of the other games and only watching the Netflix series, I was like, well, he's clearly a Belmont because he has a whip, and the whip is like their main thing, right?
Yep.
Yeah, Belmonts have whips. That's what I know. Because when you're fighting a vampire, everyone knows the number one weapon to have is a whip, not a stake or a crossbow or garlic. A whip.
I mean, another thing that I think is like kind of tragic in a way, like Julius Belmont is 55 years old, and here it says he suffered amnesia after 1999. So the last 36 years, he has no idea who the hell he is. Wouldn't that suck? You saved the world, but you got no fucking clue who you are.
Yeah, that sounds like me every day.
Yeah, it comes into like my whole disappointment that there's not a 1999 game now, which I'm actually legitimately disappointed about because I thought that was.
I think it's funny that you had no idea. It should be.
I was like, oh, that's so cool. Like, you must play as Julius Belmont in the 1999 game, and like the way that game ends is he loses his memory. Like I imagined the game that doesn't exist in my head. I was like making sense of this game with a non-existent one. Well, it's like, oh yeah. At the end of the 1999 game, obviously Julius Belmont would fight Dracula, but it's got to have this like emotional impact. So he seals him away, but he also seals his memory away, and so he forgets like everybody he fought with. I was like, oh yeah, I bet that game is really good, only to find out it doesn't fucking exist.
What I think is hilarious that, I mean, no, it does sound good. Like, I wish it was real.
Hilarious that I wrote an entire game in my head.
I thought that's hilarious. Also, so this game does another thing like a lot of Castlevanias like to do. This game will trick you because because I'm also curious if we all did this or not. I mean, I only knew it because I looked up a guide. So you go into the final fight in quotations that nobody can see me doing, and you fight Graham. And Graham is he's Dracula. He's in the throne room. He's telling everyone he's Dracula. When you fight him, he fights like a normal Dracula fight. He teleports throughout the room and shoots these fireballs at you, just like Dracula. The same freaking meteor-looking fireball thing that Dracula does in other games. Yeah, the 3 fireballs. And throughout this fight, depending on if you don't walk in carrying these certain souls when you fight him, and you beat his second form, the fight just ends. I want to say the game just ends, right?
Mm-hmm. Not really.
Okay.
Interesting.
Is that what you did, Stu, or did you go in with the souls? Did you look up online?
No, I had all the souls.
Okay.
Yeah, so I got the real ending, the true ending.
Okay, which is, I mean, one thing Castlevanias like to do, because even like Symphony of Night, you can miss an entire half of that game. Spoiler for Symphony of Night if you don't if you don't have a certain item when you go into the final boss.
Yep.
Oh god, that game is so amazing. But
I feel so bad if like that's where my game ended. It's just like I was like, "What are you guys talking about?" Yeah, this game was fun. What do you mean that enemy? What enemy are you talking about?
I was kind of curious if you would look up or just beat Graham. Be like, yeah, I beat the game, guys. What are you talking about? Fighting Julius Belmont? I didn't fight Julius. So
no, I was able to fight Chaos and
okay,
weird. Well, we'll talk about Chaos. I've got things to say.
Okay, we're almost there. We're getting there. But even like the second fight, because as like any Castlevania boss, Graham goes into a really weird second form with like two girls linked together with their faces and their rib cages. It just looks really strange.
Yeah,
yeah,
and there's it looks like Hannibal Lecter art.
I don't like the fight at all. Like you have these 2 big hands that are smacking you. And you have to jump and hit little Graham, supposed to be in the background, but he can't go in the background because it's a Game Boy Advance game.
that like the imagery in that fight is straight out of like Hellraiser. It's really creepy. I really enjoyed it. Because it's the 2 girls linked together with like their rib cages. But did you notice their eyes are also hooked together with like a halo that's over top of him?
Yeah, I didn't notice that until just now when I'm staring at it. But yeah, it's really creepy.
Like they were like, let's what kind of religious imagery can we use? What about all of it? What if we just use all of it at once? Got the ribs in there, the halo, got the skulls with the crucifixes on them above him.
Got the giant penis in the middle there.
Got the giant penis down there.
That would be Dante's Inferno, sir, not the game we played.
Jesus is hung like a horse, sir. You need to read your Bible.
Jesus.
I never read the Bible.
I've just seen there's a number of like just from my fellow art historians out there. There's a lot of like statues of Jesus where at some point all the statues of Jesus became really ripped. It's kind of a joke where just at some point in history, every depiction of Jesus was him with like a 6-pack abs and just like looking like the toughest motherfucker ever. It's like, why? It's like, Jesus, he doesn't need to look like there's that joke in Always Sunny where Mac is talking about like they need to get a crucifix for the bar, and he's like, oh, it's got to be so bloody, and if Jesus isn't ripped, then I'm gonna be so fucking pissed. He needs to be jacked. This Jesus better be jacked and covered in blood. It better be gore.
What was it called? Muscle milk?
Yeah, muscle milk.
Yeah.
Or fight milk. It was fight milk.
Fight milk. Yeah.
Muscle milk's a real thing.
Muscle milk is the actual one.
Yeah, that's right. Fight milk
is fight milk is their crow's milk.
Yeah.
Made with the milk from crows and like some ridiculous steroid.
Did anybody watch the bad ending of this game that would take place right now? Or
it would take place right now?
Well, right now, the storyline of what we're talking about.
Oh, it's like it goes back.
Not right now,
2020.
Well, I don't even know what ending I got. So I got the one where they just stare off and look at the sunset or whatever.
Yeah, you get because you fight chaos, you get the real ending. There's an ending right after you beat Graham, where the game will end if you don't have the succubus, flame demon, and sonic bat form soul equipped when you fight Graham when you finish Graham.
Such a weird fucking thing. So
welcome to Castlevania.
So bizarre.
I mean, and then even then, because the whole idea is that you find out that chaos has been what's been holding together this castle and is giving Dracula's power, and I think helping Dracula be evil and crazy in some form.
Chaos is a anus worm.
Yes. Yes, it is.
I found that very strange.
Well, before you get to chaos, just like heading up to chaos, like I love that part when you're walking down the hallway to go to this door you couldn't enter before because it had like a black fog. Because this is finally when Soma figures out, spoiler alert, that he is Dracula reincarnated, and his eyes turn red, and his hair starts standing up, and the profile picture changes, which I thought was cool.
Yeah, that was he literally goes from looking fine to just haggard. Like he's been up all night on a bender.
He probably just had to work at a gas station all by himself. That's all. And he was just
as we all know, Soma Cruz spelled backwards is Dracula. So
exactly.
Yeah, I was for a second I had to think about that. I'm like, wait a second, it ends with Z, not D.
Zerkamos. The ancient wizard vampire Zerkamos. Yeah, that was kind of confusing for me because I was like, oh, I'm Dracula? Okay.
Yeah, the big twist of the game.
Why am I such a bitch then?
Yeah. Also, they make a big point of like Graham going on and on about how he thinks he's Dracula because he was born in 1999 and that's when Dracula was sealed away. And so he's the reincarnation of Dracula. And I was like, I don't think Graham is Dracula, but that makes sense logically. But I guess reincarnation takes a couple of years to like take root because Soma's only like 18 in this game. Like he is legitimately a high school student. So it took about like a decade and some change for Count Dracula to reincarnate into a random kid.
He's a late bloomer.
I couldn't tell if like Soma Cruz is Japanese. But this game, I had to look that up because this game makes it sound like you're like I thought you were an exchange student.
I did too.
Mm-hmm.
Like it really makes you sound like, oh, I've traveled all this way to like he has a line at the beginning that's like, oh, I traveled so far to come visit your shrine. And it's like, yeah, but I mean, like if you're Japanese and you live in Japan, then traveling so far is what, like a 40-minute drive?
It'd be a train ride, I think, but it'd be longer than that.
Yeah, train ride. So like a 2-hour train ride. Like, oh man, what a distance.
Well, in Japan, don't they have those like super fast trains though?
Yeah. And this takes place 15 years after today, so their trains are probably like instant.
They probably got teleporters knowing Japan.
Yeah, he's from Japan. I always thought he was an exchange student too, but no, he's from Japan. Okay.
Yeah, I totally thought he was like a random American student.
Yeah, me too.
Or like European, because they love and whenever they have any like anime story with any kind of like mysticism. I like that. This is like a weird thing that happens in America and Europe. Our version of like mysticism is usually like East Asian.
Yes.
Like when mysticism shows up in a show, usually it's based on like some like Chinese mythology, and it's like mysterious and foreign. Like the same thing happens in East Asia where they're like, oh, it's some foreign mysticism,
like voodoo.
It's just, I love that like weird disconnect there. It's like, oh yeah, like whenever there's a mysticism in an anime, for some reason, some people that look like they would definitely be Nazis are involved. Some blonde-haired German lady that's like using science. Just look at all of Fullmetal Alchemist.
So as I was saying before, like with the Julius Belmont fight, like I really liked that boss fight in this game. That it was a little tough. I mean, I tanked most of it just because I've leveled up a lot in this game. But it is a really cool fight, I thought, and it was fun fighting a Belmont, not being a Belmont for a change.
Mm-hmm.
And are you a Belmont in almost every other game?
Most, not all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bloodlines, you're not, which for Genesis. Symphony of Night, you're not for PS1.
Oh, you're not. Who are you playing in Symphony of the Night? Okay.
This because you're in the same castle as you are in Symphony of Night. Like I was saying earlier, I think you might have missed it. In the save rooms, you see a coffin in the background. Those are supposed to be Alucard's coffins from Symphony of Night.
Oh, okay.
So it's kind of a reference to that, and that's the last time that in the storyline that Alucard shows up is in Symphony of Night. And I think it's the only game he really shows up in too, as a playable character, besides Castlevania.
And what's the other one that's on the Castlevania collection that I was talking about earlier? Rondo of Blood.
He's in that?
I'm pretty sure he is, yeah.
Not playable, though.
No,
because Marie, yeah.
And he's also in Castlevania 3, too, isn't he?
Yeah, but that's older.
You said Rondo of Blood?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
That's a game or a character?
It's a game.
Okay.
Rondo is a character, and Rondo of Blood is the game.
Okay, Rondo. That sounds like...
It never came here.
Rondo sounds like a character from, like something that Napoleon Dynamite would make. Like if Napoleon Dynamite made a comic book, the main character's name would be Rondo.
I could see that.
It actually did come here, Mike. It came on the Castlevania collection, and also on the PSP.
Yeah, but I want to say back in the Super Nintendo, it never came here.
Oh yeah,
we got Dracula X, which is a not as good port of the original game
on the Amiga or something, or Sega
Super
CD?
Nintendo. Dracula X came on Super Nintendo, or Vampire's Kiss, something like that. It's called came out on Super Nintendo. And the regular Rondo Blood came out in Turbo Graphics, but I don't think it didn't come to America till later. And
that's what it was. Yeah, Turbo Graphics. You're right.
Its first appearance in America is on the Wii Virtual Console.
Now, follow-up question.
That thing that still exists.
No.
Yeah. Good. What would you... Nintendo came out and they said the next game they made was going to be released on the Switch and the Virtual Console. It's just everyone has to dig out a Virtual Console trying to find one.
It doesn't even work anymore, so good luck with that.
So I have a follow-up question now. So I'm just going to air all my Castlevania questions now.
Sure.
Yeah.
So
we're getting near the end.
Generally, you play as a Belmont or Alucard. The Belmont clan. It's important that it's like a clan. Like they're like the Van Helsings of this universe, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Does Alucard ever have family members aside from Dracula? Do you ever play as Alucard's son?
I want to say that he maybe had a sister, but I can't remember if that's Castlevania or something else.
He doesn't have any kids or any siblings, or he has no. Because in the storyline after Symphony of Night, when he goes through, he saves Richter, he kills Dracula again. He disappears into the background for a long time, and he ends up joining a hidden government organization to be prepared for when Dracula comes again. He's sort of involved with tutoring Jonathan Morris, which is in Portrait of Ruin, one of the DS games, which takes place during World War II. But I think for the most part, he's kind of he's very much in the background.
So he's the through line for the whole series.
Kinda. But he's not in a lot of the games. God, I could go on and on about this.
Because there's a couple games where they're just specifically side stories that almost even don't have anything to do with Dracula. They're just characters that were involved with Dracula and what happens to them leading up to some other story in some other game.
Not really. I disagree with that statement.
I don't
know. Curse of Darkness.
Curse of Darkness, because Dracula's dead in Curse of Darkness, but you play as one of the Forge Masters
that worked with Dracula
in Dracula's Curse. You also play as the character Isaac from the Castlevania show that you watch. I think Isaac, the one that not the crazy one, but the one that can raise the dead animals. That likes to.
Oh yeah, I love him. He's great.
Is that Isaac or Hector?
Yeah, that was Isaac. Hector is, I think.
I don't remember.
Hector. Fuck, what did Hector do?
One is the one that caused a lot of problems.
Yeah, well, everyone's an asshole. That's the main theme of the show, is everyone's an asshole and trying to kill everybody. And Peter Stormare's character is fucking fantastic of Goldbrand. He's just I'm a fucking Viking. Of course I like boats. It's yeah. Yeah, that's that was my question with the series was I kind of like that and I kind of don't, that Alucard is just always existent, because it makes sense.
He's not mentioned in most of the games.
But it makes sense that he would always be alive because he's not a vampire, but a dampier. He's
only playable in 3 Castlevanias. Castlevania 3 for the NES, Castlevania Symphony of Night. He's the main character in PS1, and he's playable in Castlevania Dawn of Sorrow for the DS, which is the sequel to the game that we just played.
Right. But like
But
as a character, he's always existent because he's immortal.
Yeah.
See, yeah, part of me is like, I like that because it's like it grounds the series. Like he can ground the series of like, I'm always here, so I can be like the kind of like the historian of it. But I don't know. Another part of my brain is like, oh no, they should like kill him off because he's been in so many games and he's just a character that always exists. But I haven't played that many games, so I can't really. I don't want to form that opinion on it too early.
I'm sure Symphony of the Night's going to be on here at some point.
Oh yeah. And also, like as we were talking about with the Julius Belmont fight, there is a scene like halfway through the fight where he does the giant cross comes on the street and all this blue fire comes up, which is a reference to Item Crush in one of the other Castlevania games that Richter can do.
I really liked Hammer in this game, but probably for the wrong reason.
What made you like Hammer?
Hammer there's this thing in like so much Japanese anime where whenever you have a American soldier in modern day Japan, they all look exactly like Hammer. It's that very typical style of like how do we show that this soldier is like American? And it's like, well, we'll make him bald and black and he'll wear a military coat the entire time. It's like that character shows up in so many different shows. It's like the only way Japan has figured out how to portray someone as American. It's really funny to me. It's that they either look like Hammer or they have a giant nose that's like a different color. It's like for whatever reason, anime just hasn't figured out how to make like non-Japanese people, which I find very funny. There's a character in there's a number of characters that look just like Hammer in a number of different anime. Like Blood Plus has a character that looks just like Hammer.
I can believe that.
Blood Plus, Burnout XS has a Hammer. That's like the comic really when he doesn't speak Japanese, so he's always just showing up like, hello.
And I did like how they had you fight Julius Belmont as like right before you go into what ends up being the Chaos Realm, which I did not like the Chaos Realm. I skipped every enemy in that place, flew as the bat, because you can transform into a bat in this game to get through some of the areas. I just became a bat and flew over everybody's head and rushed to the end. But that's
that part was a little rough for sure.
You can take some heavy damage at certain points in this game. Well, one, I never gotten some of the best armor or the best weapon because I didn't go to the Forbidden Realm, or I think it's called the Forbidden Realm. It's an area you have to use one of the souls to charge across that waterfall we talked about earlier, and I read how to do it, but I didn't realize you had to go all the way to the back and do it, not just do it right away. Mm-hmm. So I failed. So I never got there, and I was kind of irritated when I saw on the speedrun. I'm like, it's that easy? Like, damn it, why didn't I just do that?
I found it really funny that Genya, which I guess he's just Alucard, Genya Avocado. Genya Avocado. I like that he's like a paranormal investigator. That's his job. In this series. It's really funny to me that Alucard exists in this series, and in modern day times he's just like works for the government as a paranormal investigator. He's like the equivalent of Zach Baggins, just going around like, is this place fucking haunted? I'll kill you.
If you know my dad's Dracula, speak into the mic.
Yeah.
Oh, I think I picked up an EMP. Yeah.
It's like his dad died and like he has nothing to do, so he's just like, fuck it, I'll go hunt ghosts. I want like that would be a great show. That should absolutely be a show. Like Alucard out there hunting ghosts.
That would be awesome.
Do it like in the style of What We Do in the Shadows, where it's just accepted that all these things are real.
Favorite food, Chet.
And you can have a Korg from Thor Ragnarok in there. Just every time he goes into a building. Piss off, ghost.
I am very confused right now.
It's a good movie.
Thor Ragnarok is a fantastic movie.
I know Thor Ragnarok.
I meant, The Shadows.
What We Do in the Shadows, also a fantastic movie by the same guy a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's a mockumentary where a documentary crew like starts following around a group of vampires living in New Zealand. It's just played very matter of fact and comedically, where they're like it starts off with like, oh yeah, like, you know, we're vampires. I've been around for thousands of years. I've drunk countless victims' blood. And then like the main thing that they have to solve is, oh, we need like a new roommate, and like the other guy isn't really paying rent, so we have to kick him out. So we gotta go find like a random human to live with us. And they're just like interviewing people, and they're like, yeah, so what the fuck is the name of their friend in that movie? Like Greg or something? Like, oh yeah, Greg. He's a nice guy, you know, and you know, he's cool with the whole vampire thing, and he pays his rent on time. So we all like Greg.
I like how they're just like, "Hi, Greg," and he's like shy to wave.
Yeah. Hello.
Hi.
He's freaked out that they're vampires. He's like the only one that reacts to the fact that they're vampires. There's a group of werewolves in the movie that are like they're trying to stop cursing. Is their whole thing. Like they're trying to be more politically correct werewolves. It's like, you guys look like a bunch of like, oh, we can't say that word. We can't. No, we talked about this. Stephen.
I like how they answer the question of like, you can't, like they go out at night and they can't see what they look like, so they got to like draw themselves and be like, well, you kind of look good like this.
Yeah.
You can't see yourself.
Yeah, they have to keep. I'm going to watch that fucking movie again because of this.
It's so good.
It's a good pairing, Castlevania, and that'd be great if they bring back What We Do in the Shadows. It should just be them doing a podcast about Castlevania.
That would be awesome.
Like they're sitting there judging it, like that's not how vampires really act. Anyway, we brought in a guest, a la carte.
Oh man!
All right. I don't know if you have my interest or I'm scared. I'm not sure which one at the moment.
Did you like Thor Ragnarok?
Yes, I love that movie.
Then you would love What We Do in the Shadows.
Mm-hmm.
The same style of humor.
I should bring up too the fact that people actually do cosplay as Hammer and the rest of the cast in this.
Really?
Yeah, there's some
Awesome.
good Hammer cosplay.
I'm gonna look up Hammer cosplay and I'm just gonna get people dressed as fucking hammers.
All right. So when you finally get to Chaos, you find out that they take all your souls away, which is one part of like kind of the gimmick of the fight. The first fight, which is not the anus worm that he was talking about earlier, it's just a normal fight. You have statues and you got to just hit them a bunch of times. Like I didn't mind that fight. I did not enjoy the second form, which is
fight.
Yeah, essentially. You have 4 eyeballs on the side you have to knock out that lower his defense and I think shoot things at you. You have a giant worm kind of like moving around in the background, in the foreground, which is very cool effect. And you have a black hole in the center, which is the eclipse that you have to just keep hitting and hitting and hitting.
Yeah,
which is what he's calling the aim.
It's very confusing because, like the first iteration of that boss it's kind of cool looking. Like it looks like it's like 3 angels looking things, and they're very like it looks like you're fighting a very intricate medallion, like a very intricate seal. It's kind of like gargoyle-esque, but it also has like a mouth at the bottom of it with teeth.
It's a cool fight.
It's a cool looking enemy, but then the center of it is like a circle design, and it's clearly supposed to be like a horse thing in the middle. But despite the fact that the rest of this enemy looks very intricate, the horse in the center is like, it looks like a horse out of like Adventure Time. It's very cartoony and it has like a very tiny eye. It's just kind of goofy. I just thought that was very funny looking. Like it kind of like prevented me from focusing on how cool the rest of the boss looked, because I was just like, what's that stupid fucking horse doing there?
Okay, I didn't notice that until just now when I'm looking closer at it.
You won't be able to unsee it now.
Yeah, you're right.
It's a goofy looking weird horse.
Like the Resident Evil 6 logo. I can't unsee a giraffe getting a blowjob anymore.
That's exactly what it is.
So yeah,
it's the blowjob giraffe from Resident Evil 6.
Somebody gets that joke.
But then when it opens up, it's like I was confused because it opens up and it does kind of look like an anus just because you're fighting like the eclipse. But I was confused because like are you fighting the eclipse or is it just like a black orb?
I think you're fighting the eclipse.
So you're fighting the sun.
Yes.
Okay. That's confusing.
Welcome to Castlevania. How may I take your order?
Yeah. It's very odd. It's like, because it's like an image of the sun like being eclipsed, and then the rest of the boss like kind of forms around it, and then a worm shoots out of the eclipse. It's like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah. I'll go back to my original.
Mike, I'll take 2 large Bailmonts. Bailmont.
It doesn't sound like the most southern thing ever. Wait, you gotta call them Belmont boys. We got Draculas over here. You gotta get them Draculas out of the barn. What We Do in Shadows, the American version. Yeah, we got 3 Draculas up in the barn right now, so we're just waiting for them. We're just waiting for them Behemoths to come down here and take care of it. They said they had to go get their whip replaced, so they had to go drive to another city. Their whip guy's in a different city. So
after you kill Chaos, the whole idea is that since he defeated Chaos, he stopped himself from ever the hope is that he stopped himself from fully becoming Dracula. And he has Julius promise if he ever becomes Dracula to kill him. But I was just thinking about this now. Julius is 55. as a time of this game.
Yeah.
And it's like, really, if you become Dracula in like 10 years, you'd be like, I'm 65, I'm coming to kill you. Like, not much
coming to kill you,
anymore.
18-year-old Dracula in the prime of your life.
I mean, I don't think a 65, 75 Julius is going to do very much.
Well, what would be funny is like if Julius took that and was like, well, clearly I need to have a son or a daughter to fight Dracula when, like, I need to start raising the next generation. So it'd be funny if there was like that off period where, like, say 12 years in the future, Dracula does come back and take over Soma, and then the game is you playing as like either Julius as like a 65-year-old or the 10-year-old kid. It's like, well, here you go, like old man and 10-year-old child, go kill the greatest evil that's ever existed. Have fun. I want to play that game.
Oh, there's also, I don't know if you knew this, but this game has multiple modes after you beat it. One, you can play as Julius after you beat the game if you want to, and go through the whole game as Julius Belmont.
Oh,
yeah, I saw those options, and I was like, oh, I kind of wish I had tried that.
It's the problem with me with that is that you don't have the level up system. You don't have different armor, different equipment. You just play through the game like a regular Castlevania. I don't like regular Castlevanias unless they're Metrovanias.
Yeah.
So I suck at them.
Yeah, but there was also like one with you couldn't use items and you couldn't use souls, and I was like, fuck that.
Yeah.
I am a completionist to an extent. I will not play if a game is like New Game Plus, but it's really hard for no specific reason. I'm like, nah, I'm good.
I want to say he has it that you fight. If you play as Julius Belmont, that you fight Soma, but that might be the second game I'm thinking of.
Probably.
Games have only just recently gotten to a point where I feel like New Game Pluses with harder modes are actually worthwhile. Like Dragon Age Inquisition not too long ago added a bunch of New Game Plus modes where it was like you could turn off item usage, but in return you get more XP. I was like, yeah, that makes sense. Why doesn't every game have that kind of like that balance to it instead of just making it harder for no reason?
Mm-hmm.
Like if I want to do that, then I can just play the game without using items. Like nothing in the game is dictating that I have to use the item.
I mean, it makes sense in some games, like Resident Evil, for instance.
Yeah, but Resident Evil, it's like, oh, I'm going to do a knife run. But you don't need to start a separate game mode that's like knife run only.
Yeah, but like item-wise, but yeah.
It would make sense, though. Resident Evil could have a mode where it was like, play as knife run only, and instead of having ammo, it's just more health.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that's the balance you need, not just be like, oh yeah, play the game again, but harder. It's like, okay, I get it, but it's not for me.
Yeah, Dawn of Sorrow, what I'm thinking of.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
The whole beginning of this episode where you're just explaining the Castlevania games, like all their names went over my fucking head. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna zone out now because I'm not gonna be able to remember any of these. Dawn of Sorrow, Harmony of Despair, what the fuck?
I could have done an entire episode of this podcast talking about Castlevania if I wanted to. I'm not going to, but I could. That's how much I know about the series.
Hey, Castlevania. Maybe next time you come out with a game, just call it Castlevania 2.
There's a Castlevania 2.
Oh, there is. So there's a Castlevania 2 and all. Is there a Castlevania 3?
Yeah.
Castlevania, they're all for NES.
At what point did they give up on naming things normally?
After 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
That kind of makes sense then. After
Except
4,
Castlevania 4 is Super Castlevania 4, which is actually a remake of Castlevania 1.
Oh, fuck you. Fuck you, Konami. I was giving you a break, and now I'm done.
All right.
I was totally giving you a break, but
I knew I was waiting. I was just waiting to do it.
Apparently,
all right, you guys.
There's also 2 Castlevania 2s. What the fuck? There's Castlevania 2 Belmont's Revenge.
Oh, that's the Game Boy. Yeah, so there are 2 2s.
Yeah, Konami, fix your shit.
All right, you guys ready to move on to questions, memories, and comments?
Sure.
Yes.
All right, I actually got a decent amount from people. I posted in a couple different groups for this. First memory I want to read from Michael Beachy. I actually pre-ordered this game from GameStop back in the day. Hey, one day people listening to this will be like, GameStop, what was that place? It was a wonderful place, guys, where there were games everywhere.
And that time will be next week.
Yeah, it's getting there, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And he said, I had played and enjoyed the previous 2 GBA Castlevanias, imperfect as they both were, but there was a promise in their imperfections, especially Harmony of Dissonance, however the hell you pronounce that. Probably because I had some hand in it. Aria got everything right, and at the time I thought it was just as good as Symphony. The art direction, sound design, castle layout, and gameplay mechanics all just snapped together and provided something that was at once completely familiar and yet super fresh.
That's weird.
True
Since,
follow-up.
Oh, keep going.
True Follow-Up on Symphony of the Night is still my favorite of the portable Castlevanias.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's weird because Harmony of Dissonance, like that got received poorly for its music. Like that was one of the things that
There's
they said.
music in these games?
Apparently.
Actually, I really liked the music in this game. We didn't talk about that, but the music in this game was really fun.
I listened to some of it, but I would also do podcasts too during this.
Mm-hmm.
I think the music in this game, I'd have to go listen to like other Castlevania music, but I might end up like listening to this music while driving.
Yeah, I would say that
Don't
for
go too
Game Boy
fast.
Advance, this is on the level of one of the greatest Castlevania soundtracks.
It was
Right
really
up there with
good.
Symphony of the Night.
I like how at the end of the game the music feels like it gets like really like a happy go lucky. It's just like after you have killed God essentially. It's just like do. Let's go back to Japan. It's like okay, sure.
All right. Another one from Tyler Watson. I played this game more than I have any other in the Castlevania franchise. Just last month, I finished my 7th or 8th playthrough of it. That's impressive. I would honestly give this as someone to play over Symphony of the Night. It's just that good.
Is it
know-
though? No.
I mean, I prefer Symphony of the Night, but this is a very... One thing I hadn't mentioned yet about this game that I was waiting on, but it's a short game. Like, it's not that long, and it was nice to have something... I mean, I beat this almost an entire day. I just played it, but...
Yeah, it took me like 7 hours. Like not like
Mhm.
pretty good length for what this was.
Yeah. But yeah, Symphony of the Night is really fucking good, which we'll definitely have to do on the show, because now that I know Stu's never played it, I definitely need to introduce Stu
Yeah.
to Symphony.
Make me play all of the Castlevania games in order from like most modern to like the furthest in the past.
We didn't even play the most modern one is the sequel to this, Dawn of Sorrow, which is the last game in chronological order.
Dawn comes after Aria. Okay,
Yes. Don't ask. I don't know.
fix your shit, Konami.
This one from Carrie Chandler said, I adore this game. Metrovania is my favorite genre, and Egavanias are my favorite of those. While I love Symphony of the Night, I prefer Aria and Dawn of Sorrow on a mechanical level because of the Souls mechanic. Farming Souls really scratches a particularly weird gaming itch for me.
That's weird. That's a weird itch.
Well, it's just
I'm
like
gonna start.
the whole...
I'm gonna start saying that. Like, oh yeah, I really like Souls games. Oh, like Dark Souls? No, Castlevania. I like the
two of
Souls
them.
mechanic.
It's only these two you collect souls, Aria and Dawn, because you are Dracula, so you're getting the souls of the monsters that work for you, I guess.
I'm looking at a list of all the Castlevania games, and I'm getting a sense that the way they tie games together is with the last word of the title rather than anything else. Very odd.
So wait, you're collecting souls of monsters, so basically you're a monster hunter, right?
Oh, world.
All right. This is from the Castlevania group, so shout out to you guys. I've been in this group for a very long time, but I finally got the promote because we did a Castlevania game.
Hey.
It's been a while. From Josh Peters, one of my favorites of all time. I can see that. And from Jonathan Godbolt. It's kind of a cool last name, Godbolt.
Godbolt. That sounds like a Castlevania character.
It does, doesn't it?
You must defeat Godbolt.
I remember buying it when it was first released and playing it on my lunch break out in the parking lot in my car. And then I got in really big trouble because I was out there for 3 hours instead of 30 minutes. That's funny as hell,
I've done that.
man.
I have 100% done that before.
It's just the sun starts going down. Mike's like,
I
What
did
keep playing?
that almost exact thing with Breath of the Wild. I played it on my Switch in the car, and I was like, oh, I need to kill time between like class and going to work, and I was like, I'll just start playing Breath of the Wild for like 15 minutes or something. And I was like, oh shit, I gotta go to work. I've been playing it for 3 hours. Almost the exact same scenario. The Switch is a dangerous thing to have in my car.
But one of these games is better than the other. This game.
How
I don't
dare.
like Breath of the Wild.
How dare. Breath of the Wild is great.
I didn't give it a chance, but that's a whole other story. From Tom San, he said, Excelente game. Used to travel by bus from one city to another every weekend for a year because of my job, and I played every GBA Castlevania in that period. Loved them all.
At first, I didn't think he was gonna like just for fun, like just get on the bus and go. I'm just gonna get on the bus and go to the next town and come back. Just like being on the bus.
People do that here in Minneapolis. That's
Maybe I just live in a city where there's more things to do.
It's usually homeless people, I think. But
Oh, okay.
that's okay. From Den
I get
Den.
on the bus and I just like being on the bus. It's kind of
Great
psychopath
game.
art.
Area of Sorrow. Timeline is after Lord of Shadow. If right, no, Lord of Shadow is a completely different thing.
yep.
Okay.
So, and then they make a comment about how Dracula resurrected Soma in next Netflix. Hell, if they follow the timeline, it'll be a long ass time before they get to Soma. We're talking like season 12 or 13. That's right there going.
Lords of Shadow is that skateboarder movie, right?
Lords of Shadow.
Lords of Shadow Town.
Yeah, where Shadow the Hedgehog has to learn how to skateboard to win the big championship.
I remember that.
Yeah.
He is the Tony Hawk soul, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Make that game happen. Holy shit.
All right.
Shadow the Hedgehog skateboarding with the Tony Hawk soundtrack.
From Mikio Hansen, they said great artwork compared to the junk that it became in the sequels on the DS. I mean, why anime when the gothic art style was oh so great? Weird and ominous tune that was pretty good sounding coming from the GBA. Great action and possibility for changing up your strategy with the soul system and making them stronger the more you caught of the same. If I remember correct, you are correct. Loved it and has a special place in my memory.
I just had a great idea. It was a fucking joke, but how awesome would it be to have a video game come out that was like anime skateboarding, where it's just like way over the top, like Fooly Cooly like style animation, but about skateboarding. It's just like you have to become the best skateboarder. It's like a shonen skateboarding game. And the final boss is fucking Tony Hawk. How fucking cool would that shit be?
Call it Tony Hawk's Punch Out.
Just have like the soundtrack done by like the fucking Pillows or something, like classic like skateboard rock from Japan. That shit would be awesome.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
just reminiscing about my youth and things that would make me so happy.
Okay.
There's not really any good skateboarding anime out there.
I got 3 questions we're going to read, then we'll be done with this part. From Michael Hughes, previous guest of the show. He said, what were some of your guys' favorite souls to use? For me, Succubus, because it heals you.
What's the one that makes you double jump? Because that was really nice.
Yeah.
I forget the name of it, but that's, the ability you unlock in the game. Or like the ability where you can punch the sky. I like that one, too.
Yeah.
That's my favorite Jimi Hendrix song.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Punch the sky.
Is that actually a Jimi Hendrix song?
No, it's...
Okay.
There's fucking not Purple Sky. What the hell is the name of that song now?
Purple Haze.
Purple Haze, yeah. One of the lines of the song is "Excuse me while I kiss the sky."
Yep.
Excuse me while I punch the sky.
Okay, I sure know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
All right. From Dominic Chikoki, also previous guest of the show, he said, "What is your area of sorrow?" I have no idea what you mean by that question.
Your music, like what is your aria of sorrow? My aria of sorrow would be the entire Tony Hawk skateboard soundtrack.
We'll go with that.
Aria is like a style of music. It's like an operatic music thing.
All right. And last question from Sebastian Games. He said, "Best Castlevania game?" It's up there for me.
You always say games. It's Gomez. Sebastian Gomez.
But it's Gamez.
It's GA, yeah.
It's pronounced Gomez.
Is it really?
Oh well.
Yeah.
I always thought Mike was saying it wrong, but I didn't know how to say it, so I never corrected him. I was like, every single week, I'm like, I'm not sure that's right, but I don't know better to say anything.
Just every week, I'm just like having to hear him comment.
We've been doing this for like 53 weeks, and now you correct me, huh, sir?
I know.
I haven't said it all the time. Yeah, he's gives a lot of questions.
He has given us so many comments, and we've said them every time. Oh no,
that poor child.
Deepest apologies, Sebastian Gomez, but
I'm sorry, Sebastian Games. I'll get it right next time.
Games is cool though. You can like be Mr. Games. Sounds like a great like Nintendo character, doesn't it?
So we start calling him Sebastian Game and Watch.
It's like a character from like Animal Crossing, Mr. Games. You gotta go talk to Mr. Games.
He's gonna sell you some property.
Yeah.
All right, I think it's time to go on to Shelferbach. And Stefan, since I know you have the highest opinion of this game, why don't you go first?
You're always picking me first all the time, aren't you?
It's all random, by the way. I just pick out first.
Mike's like, it's always random. Stefan, you go first.
See, I always feel like it's based on Mike just thinking I'm going to talk forever, so he always just makes me go last so that everyone else can just...
Why Mike would ever think such a thing.
Mike's like, Stuart's going to talk for 20 minutes by himself, so we'll just do him last, and then we can all go to the bathroom.
It's not like we recorded over 60 episodes of a podcast together. Yeah. I have no idea.
Yeah.
Like, I'm long-winded.
Stuart being the long-winded one when he's the one that needs his fan turned on.
Yeah, it's true. For those who don't know, I record, but the room I am recording in is so hot. It is like 20 degrees hotter than the rest of this fucking house. and I have like I have 3 fans. Well, there's a problem with our heating unit that it basically like all the other vents are kind of like half closed and mine is completely open in my room. So it just blasts heat into my room constantly.
Here, I got a joke for you. Why don't you just record in the basement?
Yeah.
There's no basements in Virginia.
Because then I would drown. Like I'm below the water table.
I know.
My choices are drowning or being really hot. So yeah, whenever we record, I have to turn off my 3 fans that I have. It's like wear like a t-shirt. And by the end of it, I'm sweating and I'm hot. But the problem is I'm so hot that I kind of like lose any sense of time. Just like I'm like, oh god, I'm dying. It doesn't help that I also, while we're recording, so I don't lose my voice, I drink hot tea. So I'm just like it's making it even worse.
I'm drinking flavored water at the moment.
I don't want my I don't want like ice bouncing around in a cup, so I always make a thing of hot tea, and I just get so fucking hot, and I start sweating, and I can't stop talking because it's too hot, and I can't. If I just keep talking, then I won't be hot anymore.
That's how that works. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like
Go
a
with
dog
that.
Exactly. In many ways, I am similar to a dog locked in a car.
But you can open the door.
Yeah. I'm a dog with opposable thumbs. That's my whole thing.
So, as I was saying, Stefan, how about you, Shelferbot?
We keep doing like all these games where I'm feeling so lukewarm about them, and every single time I'm like, yeah, I liked it, but would I put it on my shelf? Would I?
No.
And this is kind of one of those games. It's like I really like Castlevania. Like I got the platinum trophy for the Castlevania collection. Yes, I'm bragging.
It's a break
And-
worth it.
Ooh,
Yeah.
ladies.
It was like, we don't care. Shut the hell up.
My Tinder bio.
I got 30 platinum trophies. How
I'll
about
have
you?
you know I have platinum Castlevania games.
I have made that joke before, like, because I did go on a date with a chick and she was like, oh, I'm doing this and I'm doing that and I'm going to college for my master's degree and blah, blah, blah. And she's like, so what have you been doing? And I'm like, well, I just beat Ninja Gaiden. Like, that's all
I
I
remember
got.
this.
Yeah.
I totally used to play Minesweeper on my phone constantly. Like that would be my go-to game. And I got to the point where I got really good at Minesweeper. It's like I legitimately on Tinder and stuff multiple times I used as like a pickup. And people were like, tell me something impressive about yourself, and I'd be like, I'll have you know I'm the top 100th Minesweeper player in the world.
That is impressive.
Verified.
I know how to find hidden treasure. If you
Yeah.
want me.
I like take your pants off. I'm like, what the fuck? Where's the 3? There's supposed to be a number here. Okay, lady, come on. We agreed on this.
It's like a cartoon, just the bomb goes off in your face.
Yeah, the cartoon, the super.
That happens in real life, too. It does.
Yeah, I hate whenever I take a shower and I take my pants off and it's just a superimposed explosion. South Park explosion over top of my butt.
I was thinking more the person's crazy, but we can go with that.
It looks like you've been working in a mine all day. You got all this black stuff on your face. Anyway,
So, you were saying this is going on in the shelf?
anyway, yes, I'm putting this in the box. I enjoyed the hell out of this game. I think it's a great game. It's kind of like what we said about Dragon Ball. Like, it's such a good game, but there's just something about it that's not... It wouldn't make me put it on the shelf. I don't know why. This isn't the Castlevania game for me. I'm more of a Symphony of the Night type guy, for whatever reason. Probably because of Alucard. But
Probably
anyway,
I'll too.
I'm gonna go ahead and spoil the end of our show for our audience for like 90% of our shows, probably more. Every episode's gonna end with me putting it on the shelf, Stefan not knowing, and Mike boxing it because I'm so forgiving and Mike is not, and Stefan's like the perfect balance. Probably like, yeah, this game is total trash and it broke 5 times, and I couldn't play it after the end boss, but I really like the music, so it's going on my shelf.
So,
It's true.
is it going on the shelf for you?
it's gone in the box. Actually, you know what? I feel like for the longest time, the only one who would back up Mike was DJ. Like, he would agree with him. Like,
Yeah.
for the longest time, like, I hate this game.
What are you doing?
But
Probably
yeah,
got more free time.
it's
Yeah.
going in the box. This isn't my Castlevania game. Anyway,
Hashtag not my Castlevania.
yeah, I'm not putting this on my Tinder. Anyway,
How about you, Stu?
I don't know. I really enjoyed this. I wasn't expecting to because, like I said, I've always wanted to play Castlevania, and I've looked at the series a number of times. It never really interested me that much. Again, I love the Netflix series, but I feel like that's kind of different to the games. So like tone-wise, yeah, I found myself really enjoying this. I like the music a lot. The animations were really fluid and they just looked really good. Like the chain whip attack you have looks really, really nice. Like you whip the chain forward and you whip back, and like your overcoat kind of like flows around with it. And it's got this almost physics look to it where everything makes sense. The art of it was fantastic. So I think I'm gonna put it on my shelf. I had a lot of fun with it, and it made me interested in playing other Castlevania games. And I think that's like the best I could hope for going into this. So yeah, let's say go on my shelf.
Hey, I bet you're excited to play that 1999 one, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I can't wait to play the 1999 game that I imagined in my head.
I think that's really cool, though, to have somebody who never experienced it and to see all this extra story, be like, oh, man, that sounds awesome, and then find out, what? They never made it.
You can tell a lot about how my brain works, where I just get hints of something, and my immediate go-to reaction is, oh, I should just write this entire game in my head. Imagine how it would be. And I'll just go off that logic. Which I'm sure you can tell if you've listened to multiple episodes of ours where I just come up with weird games and I just think about them constantly. Like the fucking Resident Evil game that I've told probably like 30 or 40 people about now that I want to make.
Oh, wasn't that with, what's her name?
The one with Lisa Trevor in Post-Destroyed Raccoon City, yeah. I've told so many people about that game just in the hopes that, like, if enough people talk about it, it'll get back to Capcom.
I don't think that's how this works.
I'll just message Tim Turry. I know he works at Sony now, but he's got some Capcom contacts for sure. I'll get him involved. So if anybody knows anybody at Capcom, tell them to call me. I have a great Raccoon City game that'd be fantastic. I've gotten a lot of positive feedback.
Resident Evil Operation Lisa.
Operation Lisa, yeah. I can't remember. I did come up with a name of it, and I can't remember what I called it now.
All right, I'm gonna go next. I'm definitely putting this on the shelf because I'm a big Castlevania fan, and I have never tackled this game, even though it's been on my list to play for well over a decade. And I had a great time. Like, I was sitting there playing this, most of it in one day, and I just didn't want to stop playing. I was just having so much fun running around, fighting the bosses, fighting enemies, trying to figure out what to do. And it was a great experience. Like, this was a game that really, was nice, and I enjoyed myself for a change. Like, sometimes on the show, like lately I've been enjoying most of them played in the show. But there's been a few where I fucking hated them, and it was nice to have something that was just super fun and definitely go on this shelf. And I look forward to playing more Castlevania games, especially playing Dawn of Sorrow at some point down the road.
Yeah, I told Jesse, I was like, maybe for the next season, I should just pick the worst possible games ever for Mike to play. What do you think? He's like, yeah, you should do that.
That's coming up.
It would even take you forever if you use save states or something. Like, I was trying to think of the worst things.
That's partially what I did this season, because just spoilers, we're playing another Stalker. And I was like, at the beginning when we were picking it, I was like, it's time. It's time to make Mike hate me again. Stalker Clear Sky.
That won't be until May, but yeah. I'm looking forward to that, actually.
Not for a while. And maybe not. We might have to push it back too, so it might not want to even say May.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But yeah, it's like every time I put a game that I like on the list, I'm just like, well, I guess screw Mike for that week.
I do feel bad sometimes, but Mike picks games I don't like either. So
yeah,
you're like,
sometimes.
I like. There hasn't been a game we've played that I haven't at least enjoyed.
Wait till we play Brave Fencer Musashi in a month.
Yeah. There's the only time I'm gonna be like, because like I said, I'm so forgiving with any like gamer. When it comes to people, I'm like a cynical asshole where I'm like, I hate you. Like, people can just say this is gonna make everybody nervous to talk to me. If somebody says something like kind of like asshole-ish to me and they don't know me or something, my immediate reaction is like, okay, I'm gonna hate you forever until I die. That's just how it is now. I'm so cynical where I'm like, I've decided in my head you're a bad person. I'll hate you forever until one of us is dead. And it'll be me, because even after you die, I'll still hate you. When it comes to games, I'm like, yeah, I love it no matter what. This movie sucks. And you can have a movie come out where like the director personally comes to my house and punches me in the dick. And I'd be like, yeah, but the movie was great. I mean, did you hear that score? I really liked his performance.
All right, Stefan, do you want to introduce what game we're playing next week? Or talking about next week?
Yeah, so we're playing a game that just came out again on remaster, and it originally came out, I think, in 2009. We're playing we're playing Ghostbusters, the actually good one.
The River Hill Soft one?
No.
Okay.
So
Is
look
it really?
forward to that,
Is there
guys.
really a River Hill Soft one?
Yeah, River Hill Soft worked on like I want to say they like helped make we'll get into it because I want to say they worked on the 2008 game. Or 2009 game.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we'll get into it. There's a backstory to how that game got made, or how the one we're going to talk about got made. There's a huge backstory to it.
Yeah, was that? It wasn't like they didn't end up being like credited to River Hill Soft, but they worked on it or something.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
we're gonna have to do some investigative reporting for the next episode.
Mm-hmm.
Investigate River Hill Soft and their history as a company.
That's on you guys.
Yeah. Those who don't know, River Hill Soft made Overblood, which we talked about previously.
Unfortunately, yes.
Yes. Fortunately, I think. This podcast wouldn't exist if River Hill Soft wasn't a company, Mike.
Yeah, I know. That's why we did Overblood for our year anniversary.
I thought about doing isn't the River Hill Soft like Prince of Persia game? And they also made Dr. Hauser. I seriously considered putting one of those.
Yeah, I have no idea what that is.
Dr. Hauser is a point and click like mystery game that's very bizarre. I would say it's more of a game than Overblood, but I don't think it ever got like there are versions of the game you can buy, but I don't think it ever got ported to America, so the whole game is in Japanese. So
Is it point and click like Siberia or point and click like Day of the Tentacle?
it's point and click like Myst.
Oh.
But yeah, it's still in Japanese. So Mike would actually do very well with it because he would just use his walkthrough and we would just be fucked. Because it makes no sense. Like, even if you play that game with a walkthrough, it doesn't make any sense. Like, you're just sitting there and it's like, oh, like you have to go open the clock twice. And it's like, why? I don't understand. It's a very fun experiment.
Yeah.
Go play a
You know what?
Japanese game.
You know what, Mike? I take it back. You didn't pick any games I hate it. I'm looking through them. I don't hate them.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
take that back.
think for the first 40 episodes, I think there was only like one game I didn't put on my shelf.
Yeah.
I think it's been more than that, but I can't. I'd have to go back. If someone ever wants to make an Excel sheet and email to us at our email, please.
Yeah.
Do.
If someone wants to
lazy
do the work for us, check it out. There is one game I am super happy about, which we're playing after Ghostbusters.
Metal Gear?
Metal Snake. We're gonna have to cut this out now.
No, it's fine. It's an already announced on the Facebook page. All right,
Okay.
First I want to give a quick shout out to our awesome intro and outro, courtesy of Balby, aka Mike Stoney. ZP Bite the Bullet, the song of the Cool Kid Squad. Other thing I want to say is we still have shirts incoming. Any update on that, Stu, for us? Okay. There's your update, guys.
Aria of Sorrow.
You still there, Stu? Did we actually lose him?
Stu has gone bye-bye, Mike. What do you have?
All right.
Hey, I'm back. There we go. Lost it again at the very end.
You didn't hear my
As Mike
joke.
started doing the credits, I was just like, oh, I can't hear anything.
All right. I think I should thank everyone for listening, and we'll be back to you next week with Ghostbusters, guys.
Make
So-
a skateboard anime already. Come on. And don't tell me
Alright.
Eureka 7 is skateboarding. It's about space surfing, all right? Totally different. Fix your shit.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.